And in using myself for the greater good of others, it not only changed me, it motivated me, it inspired me, it changed me as a human. And that act of kindness, being of service, doing random acts of kindness, spreading love. You don't need the education, you don't need the job, you don't need the money. It's the heart, it's the spirit. We have it. We are born with it. And if we use it, and we use it to its full capacity, the whole world will shift just based on being kind.
Raise your hand if you've ever been busy. Raise your hand if you've ever got tired and feel like you just need a couple days off. Most people would have both hands up right now. That's our world, fast-paced and income-driven. That's why we get caught up in our own lives so often, and that's why it's understandable when most people don't focus on worries that aren't their own. So what makes someone become a humanitarian? Someone whose whole life focuses on the welfare of other humans. Humanitarians battle disease, hunger, and violence in some of the most inhospitable situations, locations, and climates as they persevere despite the risks of kidnappings, death threats, murder, and other deadly abusive behavior from the communities they work within. Serena Bufalino was born and raised in Hamilton, Ontario by two Italian immigrant parents. Now, she loved her parents more than anything in the world, but they could not help her with reading and writing in school. So she struggled with her academics and at one point was told she'd amount to nothing. And yet, fast forward to the present day, and she is an accomplished teacher, humanitarian, and has impacted the lives of more people than most of us may ever even meet. How does someone who has every excuse to focus on themselves become someone whose whole life's work is taking care of people they hardly know? That's what we're looking for today. And with Serena's help, we'll find the meaning of life to a humanitarian.
I was put in special education classrooms. I was removed from my classroom at least, half of the day in special programs trying to get extra support and extra help. I was, a little bit cute. I was a chatty catty girl. And so I got my way out. I learned how to navigate my way out of my reading or out of writing. Like I would just make up lies or excuses or I would misbehave.
Despite this, Serena did have her parents and a principal who believed in her. They became early inspirations. However, when Serena was 12, her dad got into a very serious car accident. So that is when things started to shift. Serena started to apply herself. She would tell her hospitalized father that she would do anything to make him proud.
And that's when I started to go to school. All my teachers, all the students, everybody in the school noticed something happened. Because from chatty catty, super social, not caring about school, doing academics, homework, or work, I'm now going to class, I'm actually listening, I'm paying attention, I'm asking for homework, I'm asking for help, and everyone's like, are you? And so that began what I believe is my first shift in overcoming one of the biggest obstacles in my life. Being told I can't read and write and I'm stupid. Now I'm applying myself because I want to make mom and dad proud and I want dad to come out of his coma. And I started to see that I am capable. I'm not stupid like they keep saying I am. And that I might not learn in the same way as Mary and Joe, but I can get the same outcome. It's just how I reach that outcome is going to look different for me.
Serena started going from 60s in school to 80s and 90s, getting accepted to all universities that she applied to, and graduated on the dean's list. She says then she went to teacher's college, but mainly because her mom had that dream for her. So she completed that in Australia, where she then did a placement at an all-girls high school. Serena was good, though, and was asked to take a placement in a traditional school setting, but she instantly refused. Serena told the dean that it just wasn't for her. She looked inside herself as somebody who struggled at a young age, had a close relationship with mental health, and was told she wouldn't make it. So she brought all that experience forward and focused on helping at-risk individuals.
I'm like, the kids that are kicked out of school, the kids that are the troublemakers, the ones that are in jail or on the streets or in the special education classrooms like I was, I want to meet those kids. I want to meet the kids that are falling through the cracks, the ones that are misbehaving, and the ones that people don't want, because I know that misbehaving is coming from a deeper source. And I want to get to the source of that, because if I can touch those kids in the way that my principal and my mom were able to touch me, then I know I can make a difference in these kids' lives. And I tell people I'm the teacher who really doesn't believe in academics. I believe in creating that different kind of learner. And so I feel like, there's beautiful teachers all around the world, and ministries of government that are delivering an academic program that is needed, but nobody's really focusing on the human characteristics that make up who you are, that tap into your gifts and your sources and use that to become the human you were made to be, instead of the human that society and teachers and educators and or politicians are telling you to be, right? So it's really setting people and kids up right from the start to be able to handle whatever circumstance they're going through, give them the skills to be able to get through it, and then use that so that they can continue growing and doing good in the world.
The dean told Serena this might not even be possible. However, that 22-year-old young woman found the right people to validate it. So she started working at a young offenders facility in Australia before eventually moving to Belize and then back to Ontario, where she partnered with the Toronto District School Board. And then at that time, she started a 15-year career working with Canada's most at-risk youth.
You talk about love, like I was addicted. Like my students, when I would come to school in the morning and I would be like, guys, I was thinking about you last night. And they're like, Miss, can you get a boyfriend? Or like, can you just stop thinking about us all the time? And I'm like, no, I can't. So I think we should do this, and I think we should do this. And, and it was just such a feel-good feeling that became an addiction, I guess, a really good, healthy one. I was empowering myself, I was empowering my youth were empowering the communities, and it became this massive snowball effect. And the intention behind it was just to learn how to be better humans. The result is we were impacting communities.
And Serena and her students did impact the community. Weekly, they would help out at homeless shelters and food banks, eventually winning awards. Serena herself won an award, a Canada-wide Excellence Award for teaching in 2017. But what she didn't know was that those students of hers would eventually set her off on her new adventure.
But when we were coming back from feeding the homeless at the TTC at the train station, the TV showed the earthquake in Haiti. I knew nothing about Haiti. All I knew is that it was an exceptionally poor country, somewhat dangerous and corrupt country. And they're saying, Miss, why are you so sad? And I said, look at what is happening in this world. And I said, there's kids in this world that want to be you guys, that wish they had a stupid school and a stupid teacher. They wish they had like the police to come and help them. They wish they could go to a shelter to get a food and a good night's sleep. And again, Toronto's most at risk. Like, we're talking about the highest cases of child abuse, neglect, trauma, some of the top murderers, rapists, pedophiles. It's really bad already for them. But when they heard that there are kids in this world that are suffering more than them, they said, Miss B, you say we can do anything. So we need to do something for these kids.
That conversation lifted Serena. Her and her students didn't know how they would help, but with their can-do-it attitude, they were able to raise enough money to build a school in the impoverished country. And so she headed down and spent some time in a place that Mother Teresa called the hardest 2 kilometers in the world.
As somebody who already spent almost her whole life on the streets, working in hospitals, working in jails, working in mental health, working with the hardest to serve people, I'm not naive to what is happening in the world. I'm fully engaged in that, 20% that is not being seen in the world. Nothing could have prepared me for Haiti. Nothing. The conditions in which people live, It is by far one of the most inhumane things I've ever seen. And in Haiti, what is happening is what I consider to be modern day slavery on an entire country. There's no parts of Haiti, with the exception of maybe 8 to 10% of a population, that is thriving. So you have a population of over 10 million people, and 9 million of them don't even have water, can't even get a sip of water. I can tell you stories about how kids have taken my water bottle and lined up and taken a cap of water each, and that will be the only water that they get in an entire day or 2 days.
So that was it. This was her next calling. Serena came home, quit her 6-figure job, and started a not-for-profit international charity called Help Heal Humanity. And in these 2 years, her small team and her have raised money to build schools in Haiti and Cambodia. While she says she gets calls from at-risk areas around the world asking for her help. But Help Heal Humanity doesn't forget about home, helping provide food for shelters and homeless. But Serena's experience in Haiti will always weigh on her.
So every person that we're impacting, every meal we're giving, every school we're building, every child that is getting an education, we're making a difference. And I just focus on the good, because there's enough bad, there's enough negativity, there's enough injustices, inhumanities, there's enough ego, pride, greed in this world that I refuse to focus on it. I just want to be the solution. And like I said, when you see what you see in Haiti, if you walk away from that not being touched, moved, and inspired, then there's something wrong with you.
Help Heal Humanity makes it a point to oversee every step of the process. Serena lived in Haiti for 3 years to ensure that every penny that was collected went toward the project. She says that integrity is the most important part of the charity.
When you go back and you see kids that were living on the streets, kids had no structure, they had no routine, people who had nothing, they didn't have meals. When you see that all of a sudden they're waking up, they have structure, they have something to do, they have a meal in their belly, their life changes completely. They, like I said, their self-esteem changes, their self-worth, their ability to know who they are in the world and what they have the potential of becoming.
Serena says the givers actually get more out of charity than the receivers. Now, she says she understands how a lot of people can get caught up in their daily lives and doesn't get bothered by those who don't volunteer, but says if you do, it changes you. And then you'll start being more grateful for the things we take for granted. Serena herself has been through a lot. Over the last half-decade, both of her parents have passed away. She says that of everyone that she's ever met, her mom is her favorite person. However, she says she feels blessed. She can use that love that her mom instilled into her to be of service to the most at-risk populations. And she's going to continue to use her voice and her soul to decrease human inequalities and injustices. So, there was only one thing left to ask her. What is the meaning of life?
The meaning of life, for sure, is to be of service to others. To use yourself, your gifts, your talents, your resources, your anger, your sadness, your pain, your greatness, to use all of that to do good in the world. When you die, and I die, and the millionaire dies, and the billionaire dies, and the professional this, and the homeless, and the battered, and the broken, when we all die, we're all going pretty much to the same place. And what you did in this limited time that you have, which is limited, extremely limited, make the best of everything. Stop thinking about the fame, the fortune, the greed, the pride, the prizes, and think about how you can actually be of service.
Whether it's public health, disaster relief, refugee protection, or food and safety, among many other things. Whether it be in different countries or right in our own backyard, there are many ways we can become humanitarians. At the beginning of this, I asked, what makes someone focus their whole life on the lives of others? But Serena has taught me that in order to focus on others, you really have to focus on yourself. What are my talents? What am I able to do to enhance the lives of those around me? Maybe I'm not a humanitarian, but I am human. And so when I'm not getting distracted by my busy everyday life, maybe I can take some time to focus on other humans who could use whatever I'm able to do. But that's just my perspective. What do you guys think about Serena's story? And what are you going to do to help heal humanity?
And I cannot wait, because all of that has led me to this charity, which is just starting. It's just growing. And what Help Heal Humanity has done in our 2 years of birth and conception is mind-blowing, But to somehow know that the insignificant little girl who couldn't read and write was able to do this. Everybody in the world is capable of doing amazing.